Where does the time go? Holy shit. It's already been a year since I sat down in the theater to watch The Last Jedi. None of this makes any sense anymore. Years used to last forever when I was a young kid. This show is moving way too fast. Oh my god, we're all gonna be worm food. Oh my god, no one gets out of this alive. Oh my god, I only have like 50 to 60 orbits left if I'm lucky. Oh fuck! The Last Jedi is certainly a polarizing film, exacerbated by the ease of shouting into the void on the old information superhighway. If you were alive and alert to the fandom in 1999, the divide can certainly be compared to that time. Dipping your toe into a forum was a lot like dipping your toe in Twitter. And while the world is a lot louder nowadays with the ease of information and worldwide communication that often feeds one's desire to listen to beliefs and opinions that they already agree with, there's no doubt that this rift has been felt before. It will be felt again. It's not the first time. It's not the last. It seems to be present in all fandoms in one way or another. Don't forget to dislike this video if you even slightly disagree with anything I say here. If you've ever watched my channel and heard my opinions of The Last Jedi, you know that I have kind of a complicated relationship with it. Despite some folks spinning a narrative that HelloGreedo just soaks up anything with the label Star Wars slapped on it, if you actually watch the channel, you all know that couldn't be further from the truth. But hey, let the narrative spinners spin to their heart's content. And that phenomenon doesn't just go with me, it also goes with every other creator on this platform. Don't listen to other people's opinions of other people. Actually watch and listen to those other people and then make up your own mind. You'll often find that their opinions, their rationale, their overall take on things have really been boiled down by others and chopped up on the butcher block to fit kind of this soundbite culture. I've seen this happen with YouTubers that I vehemently disagree with, and I've seen it happen with YouTubers that I agree with. Long-winded points and arguments made with relatively sensible logic, or at least logic that I can understand, become abridged by others in order to fit a narrative spin. It's weird. I don't really get it. It's a shame. And when I started this silly ass YouTube channel in 2011, I never imagined it would seep its way into the Star Wars fandom as it has. It's kind of a reflection on the rest of digital communication, I suppose. But just because I disagree with someone doesn't mean that their opinion is any less valid than mine or yours.
The movie.
I'm usually one to appreciate artistic decisions. I'm not one to need or want a character's journey to be in lockstep with what I have laid out for them in my head. I'm not one to need a story to go a certain way for me to be pleased. I like surprises most of all. I like the twists and turns of storytelling. I like risks taken by storytellers, no matter if the medium is video games, comics, books, TV shows, movies, and you name it. I like different. More of the same has rarely worked for me. I would rather have something different that doesn't really hit me the way that I thought than have more of the same. So in that respect, I really appreciate The Last Jedi. My opinion of The Last Jedi hasn't really changed that much over the past year. I still find it to be an incredibly thoughtful film, one that flips feelings and stirs one's emotions for things that they've been connected to since their childhood, a movie that takes characters who were once viewed as immovable statues, forever encapsulated to be one way, and in turn shows us their faults, their humanity, and their ability to change, adapt, fail, and rebound. After all, where's the fun in being fed more of the same? Change things up, keep us on our toes, show us the true reality of our heroes, show them down and out of their luck, doubting their entire worldview, and have them return with a new sense of purpose. And for that, Luke Skywalker's portrayal in The Last Jedi is one of my favorites in the saga. Doubts, fear, unease, distrust. A man who once lived by a code, but through investigation, has learned that the system he was once living under and striving to resurrect and maintain had incredible faults. Isn't that the same conclusion that we all came to learning about the Jedi in the prequels and the Clone Wars? While they might individually be steadfast and moral guardians, the structure that the Jedi were a part of and that they sought to protect and maintain was ultimately compromised and proven to be broken. When one's entire worldview comes crashing down and doubt begins to seep in, it can really shatter the spirit. And that's what we saw in Luke, and I found it incredibly fascinating. I really don't have a problem with the story or portrayal of characters in The Last Jedi. Where my issues lie are in some of the pacing decisions and tone. The most interesting stuff to me is when we're with Rey and Luke on Ahch-To, and then we cut to a far less interesting side plot of Rose and Finn on Canto Bight. I know this is beating a dead horse. Most of you know how I feel about it. But this back and forth, while I will admit that it does get a lot less noticeable with each subsequent viewing of the film, kind of jerks around the tone for me a little too much. This is a complaint I first voiced after my first viewing. My issues with the movie are more issues with it as a movie rather than having issues with the direction it took the saga. Because as I said, I generally like, appreciate, and understand the way things went. I think I said this in my first review video, but one of the first thoughts I had after seeing the movie was I wish it was a little shorter, more concise, more focused. And I kind of still feel the same way. A lot of stuff crammed into a movie, much of which focused on side plots that were far less interesting than the main, at least to me. Overall, I like The Last Jedi a lot more than I dislike it. I hate putting numbers on things, but people always want a letter grade or a percentage or whatever. So if I was forced to put a number on The Last Jedi 1 year later after its initial release, I'd probably give it a 75%. Probably more if I thought about it a little deeper, but I hate quantifying my enjoyment of a movie. I just feel like it's oversimplifying things. When a percentage or a letter grade is tacked onto a piece of art, you lose the meat and potatoes of the conversation. But yeah, I find myself enjoying the movie more and more with each viewing over the past year. The things that I'm wishy-washy on tend to be subdued a bit, and the things I like about the movie are very much amplified.
Discourse.
I love how talked about The Last Jedi has been over the past year, both negatively and positively. I do find a shitload of the criticism leveled at the movie to be pretty goddamn silly, especially when the same objections can be found in other pieces of the saga that the complainant enjoys without question. It's interesting to still see a deep and passionate dialogue being had, as long as it's civil, as long as it's level-headed and measured. If you're the proud owner of the Twitter handle Ruin Johnson KK Last Jedi Sucks 69, and your modus operandi over the past year has been to ooze a non-stop stream of piss into the digital pool while believing yourself to be some grand e-crusader against perceived tyrants at the helm of your once cool and hip indie band, then you're either a troll putting on a pretty good show or pretty goddamn silly. That being said, I have seen so many interesting and deep The Last Jedi conversations from people with vastly different views. There have been a ton of civil discussions, a ton of incredibly nice exchanges. They might seem few and far between, but they're really not. They're just not as loud and bombastic as the mudslingers. Therefore, they don't get as many eyeballs or ears. Negativity and loudness is an engine. And I think that discourse is something that I like most of all about The Last Jedi. The fact that it is so divisive, the fact that it does stir up so many differing opinions, only proves to me that it has a place in the saga alongside everything else. These movies will be debated until a giant fucking solar flare takes out the power grid and we can't watch them anymore. It makes it fun. How goddamn boring would this entire game be if we just sat around all day looking at one another saying, I agree. Do you agree, Jim? Oh yes, I agree, Tom. I agree as well. I agree too. I agree with you and you agree. Isn't it swell, Jim? Why, yes, it is swell, Tom. But that's kind of what's begun to happen, in a way. Splintering of factions with differing opinions revert to listening to opinions from people they already agree with, and often only listen to people that they already agree with, and then everyone else gets blanket demonized. It's weird. I don't get it. It's kind of something that everybody should, including myself, try to fight against in their own brain. It's impossible to talk about the past year of The Last Jedi's existence without talking about the way people have been conducting themselves. And the thing is, it really is just a tiny portion of the whole, right? My friends who are all Star Wars fans, lifelong Star Wars fans, we grew up watching them together, going to the premieres. But these friends, they don't get mired down in the muck on a day-to-day basis or don't constantly have their finger on the pulse of the fandom. And they're always surprised when I tell them the state of things. Because the vast majority of Star Wars fans, they watch the movies, they talk about it with their friends, family, and coworkers, often extensively. They either like it or they didn't like it. They ask when the next one is coming out, and that's that. That is by far the vast majority. That's probably a good like 95, I don't know, maybe 99% of everyone who saw The Last Jedi. And we seem to think that one entire half of the fandom is browbeating and calling for the king's head? I don't believe it. I just think it seems that way because some people are loud on the internet, and it's relatively easy to spread ideas to people who already have their ear on the door. And it's super easy to just make up bullshit, pump out a video a day for a month about how someone is getting fired or how such and such is leaked or how there's some vast conspiracy to destroy Star Wars or how you have an inside source, none of which comes true, by the way. Hyperbole has been incentivized. Nonsense has been monetized. The world is clickbait.
Everyone's Star Wars is different.
There is no collective favorite Star Wars. Hell, Star Wars is different for everyone. My Star Wars is the original trilogy. That is my Star Wars. Will that change? Probably not. But your Star Wars might be the prequel trilogy, or it might be the Clone Wars animated show. And the generation coming up right now, the kids watching and growing up alongside the continuation of the sequel trilogy, their Star Wars will probably be the sequel trilogy. And in 5 or 10 years from now, when they're old enough to hop on the internet, we'll start hearing from them. They'll have a voice. In the same way that I've heard from younger prequel fans over the past 7 years of this channel's existence. When I made the channel, some of you guys might have been like 11 years old or so, and now you're on the keyboard with a voice defending what you love. I have seen this happen firsthand. When I first launched the channel in 2011, finding prequel defenders in the comment section of my video was like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, in the year 2018, prequel fans are older. They have a voice. They have an opinion. They're gonna tell you. And there's more of them in the conversation now, defending what they love. I have a feeling that will happen again and again, generationally, for as long as Star Wars movies are made. My Star Wars is best Star Wars. Nuh-uh. My Star Wars is best Star Wars. New Star Wars sucks. Nuh-uh. New Star Wars rules. Your Star Wars sucks. Nuh-uh. Forever and ever. So, all you can fucking do is like what you like, right? Don't like what you don't like. Have fun. Don't take yourself too serious. Make fun of practices, not people. Pour some silly satire in the mix instead of just slinging shit from a keyboard or a webcam. Be creative, keep talking, and realize that everyone's Star Wars is different. You don't own what Star Wars is. It evolves on its own, and I like it that way. HelloGreedo, out.